Bedbugs. Those nasty bastard. Apart from mosquitoes and flies, they're probably some of the most hated insects in the world. Let's take a closer look at them. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I've wanted to make a video about bedbugs for a long time, but they're insects that I'm honestly afraid of, and unlike most insects, I actually find them disgusting. Just the way they're perceived and their lifestyle make them really gross. And honestly, I'd much rather have all the spiders and other creatures escape from these containers and terrariums than have what's inside this vial get out. And in this vial, which actually has another vial inside it for safety, there are 2 specimens of Cymex lectularius, which in English is called the common bedbug. Even though these specimens are already dead and disposed of, I still get chills and feel itchy just thinking they might be crawling around somewhere. That's why I use these safety measures and a double seal. You may wonder where I got this and why I have it. Luckily, I didn't find this in my bed or couch. Well, they came to me just like many other insects and arachnids I've had the chance to show you, meaning I received them from one of the viewers. I won't mention your name here, but thank you very much for these specimens, because thanks to you I'm able to record this material. Listen, I received a total of 4 bedbugs, including 2 that were already dead, on a swab soaked with permethrin. Permethrin is a compound that works very well, for example, on ticks, but as it turns out, it also works to some extent on bedbugs. I had 2 left, but 1 died the next day. I ended up with just 1 live specimen, which I used to experiment on myself. It might have been foolish, but I wanted to know what it felt like and if it hurt. I guess you can figure out what I'm talking about. Maybe let's talk a bit about the insects themselves, because what are bedbugs anyway? This question might sound pretty silly and trivial, but if you had to describe in your own words what a bedbug is, what would your answer be? Someone might mention bugs in your bed, while others call them disgusting blood-drinking pests hiding behind baseboards. Well, that's all true, but from a more, maybe not scientific, but biological point of view, bedbugs are true bugs. I'm not saying anything new. Bedbugs are insects in the true bug order, specifically heteropteran bugs. I've already shown you several heteropteran bugs on this channel, including stunning African Sitala bugs. Among other things, last year there was an episode about the American stink bug, which is an insect that spread in Poland some time ago, and now there are a lot of them. Once, and in one of the episodes from the In the Field series, I also showed you an amazing creature that lives in Poland called the bison thorn bug. It's a small green horned bug, this time a homopteran, because we have both heteropteran and homopteran bugs. If you're curious about the difference between heteropteran and homopteran bugs, it's that their wings are arranged differently. Homopteran bugs, like cicadas, have their wings arranged like roof tiles, while heteropteran bugs, like the American giant milkweed bug, have their wings flat and partially overlapping each other. So you've seen quite a few bugs now. And now it's time for some of the worst bugs from a human perspective, namely bedbugs from the Cymex genus. Bedbugs are part of the Cimicidae family. That's the main point. Bedbugs are Cimicidae. There are nearly 100 species of bedbugs worldwide. And what's more, most of them don't feed on humans. Only in extreme cases will they feed on humans. The vast majority feed on bats and birds. And it's not a coincidence that they choose, for example, bats, birds, or us as hosts, because bedbugs are quite clever creatures, even though they're just insects, and they choose animals to feed on that live in groups, just like humans, just like bats in a cave, or like birds. And when there are a lot of hosts and they can move between them and reproduce, that's also good for the development of bedbugs, and they multiply quickly then. Let's revisit what it means that bedbugs are true bugs. It means that they have all the features that true bugs, in this case Heteroptera, should have. A bedbug has 3 parts: head, thorax, and abdomen. Antennae and a mouth part grow out of the head, which in this case is of the piercing, sucking type. This is basically a very similar type of mouth part that, for example, mosquitoes have. They pierce and suck. We have 3 pairs of walking legs, and here's an interesting fact. Bedbugs, luckily for us, thank God, can't fly. If they could fly, it would be Armageddon, but they can't because they lack wings. That's actually an interesting fact, because very few bugs in the entire order of Hemiptera don't have wings. Most, like cicadas or the American stink bug, are winged insects capable of flight. They have 2 pairs of wings. The first pair are hemelytra, and these hemelytra cover the second pair of wings, which are membranous and allow these insects to fly. Bedbugs don't have anything like that. Those hind wings don't exist. However, those front wings, the hemelytra, have transformed into 2 little stubs located at the base of the abdomen. That's it, just an interesting fact. And it's worth noting that bedbugs have very interesting senses that help them find their prey, including us humans. Bedbugs have eyes, so they can see. However, their vision is not like ours. They don't recognize shapes the way humans do. These eyes help them more to see if it's already dark enough to go out hunting. Since bedbugs don't really like light, their eyes help them choose the right time to go hunting. The most crucial part of bedbugs for finding a host is their antennae. Because thanks to their antennae, they can first of all sense the warmth of the human body, and when a person has 36.6 degrees, they can easily detect that something is warmer than the surroundings. Second, they can detect our breath, especially the carbon dioxide we exhale. These antennae really work. I tested this on a live specimen. When I put my finger near it, it followed my finger. You can tell the antennae work. It instantly tried to bite because it was hungry. Another interesting fact concerns what we probably fear most about bedbugs: their reproduction. Because it's their reproduction that makes there so many of them and that they can become a potential mini plague in our apartment or building. Bedbug reproduction is called traumatic. What does that mean? It means that there's no normal copulation where everything works for the male and female. They come together and then there are little bedbugs. Instead, the male actually has to pierce the female's abdomen almost like with a dagger to inject the semen inside so that there can be little bedbugs later. Do you get that? And this has its own name. It's called sexual conflict. And it escalated so much that females of some species develop special structures on their abdomens that guide the male to pierce them in the right spot, which then heals over. Do you understand? It's basically like an arms race between males and females. I was unaware of this before and had to learn about it for this video. Now let's discuss feeding. Bedbugs feed on blood. I didn't discover anything new here either, and that's the reason why we hate them so much. They feed not only on human blood, but also on the blood of bats, birds, and so on. When someone is bitten by bedbugs, allergic reactions often occur, though not always. So basically, we have red spots, and then we more or less know that we've been bitten by bedbugs, and then we more or less know there's a problem, and we need to do something about it. From my experience, which I had yesterday, meaning from a bedbug bite, it turns out that I don't have such an allergic reaction. And here it's also worth mentioning probably the one good trait that bedbugs have: bedbugs. One of the very few good traits, but they don't transmit diseases. For example, diseases spread by tsetse flies, mosquitoes, ticks, and other blood-feeding animals. Yes, luckily those bedbugs don't spread diseases. They have some extreme cases of transmitting pathogens, but those pathogens don't cause diseases. So here you can be fairly calm that nothing, no filth, dengue, or any other crap will be transmitted to humans. However, there is one symptom that I also experienced while recording this video, and that's psychological discomfort. Seriously. It really messes with your head just knowing bedbugs are in the room. And for example, on the huge multi-million subscriber channel Mark Robar, he recorded a video about bedbugs about a year ago, and there he shows a laboratory where they study the behavior of bedbugs. And when I was watching it, I got chills all over my body, you know? They have a fridge there with containers, each holding like 400 to 500 bedbugs. And they even have a room there where they test the bedbugs, basically just a dirty room with bedbugs used as a laboratory. Honestly, it's really scary to live next to something like that. There's one more piece of good news. That's all here. Here, these are spiders. And spiders are one of the main natural enemies of bedbugs, so I think I can be at ease. If these specimens are already dead, there's no danger. Small predators like spiders, pseudoscorpions, solifuges, and other predatory insects easily eat bedbugs. So if you must choose between spiders and bedbugs, the choice is clear. Now here's an interesting fact that unfortunately doesn't work in our favor. Bedbugs can survive for a very long time without food. Some sources say it can take 300 to 500 days in extreme cases. Can you believe that? It's like this little creature can survive a year without food. Why does that happen? Well, it happens because human blood is very high in calories, and if a bedbug gets a good meal, it can really last for a very long time. My washing machine finished washing again. About extermination. I've never dealt with bedbugs and hope I never do, so I don't know the procedures. Some companies specialize in removing bedbugs, which can be eliminated with very low or very high temperatures. I know about biocidal agents and related topics, and there are channels focused on fighting bedbugs. If you want more information, I suggest watching those channels. And now it's time for the last interesting fact, which I discovered in the first few minutes of recording this video. Well, all the bedbugs at this point are already dead. And that's quite interesting because yesterday one of them drank my blood, so theoretically it should live for a very long time, but it died. And I don't know if that's actually thanks to my blood. I have no idea why that happened, and maybe one of you will be able to answer me. Can human blood, for example, if someone has had some vaccinations, be harmful to bedbugs? Because honestly, I didn't expect it to die. All right, so now about the bite itself. Is it painful? No. And that's because they have a substance in their saliva that numbs the area. So for example, when I got bitten, it was almost unnoticeable. I literally felt a tiny prick for just a second, and then it was completely painless. However, I'm really glad that we managed to capture how her body, which was empty and very hungry, fills up with blood. On one hand, it's disgusting, but on the other hand, it's very interesting, though I think it's more disgusting. And that's about it when it comes to bedbugs. Of course, let me know in the comments if you've had any experiences. If so, I sympathize with bedbugs in your home. And how did you deal with it? We'll end the episode here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!